Hi, and welcome to the How to Shade Clothes and Wrinkles and Folds tutorial. So, I'll try my best to explain everything as good as I can, but just keep in mind that this is my way, like my own way, how I learned by myself, mostly how to shade clothes and wrinkles and everything. So this might not be the one and only way, and you definitely have to look up for references and other tutorials. But if you want to know how I do it, that's a good start, a good way to start. So you can see for kind of a starter, I drew this glass kind of thing, even though it looks more like plastic, sheer plastic. And I put on some fabric on top, or I drew more like that, and I tried to kind of show how fabric behaves or looks like on top of things. It's still kind of hard for me too, but you definitely have to look up for a lot of references. I think the best references are real life stuff, like, look at your clothes that you're wearing right now, look how the fabric falls, how thick is it, how thin, and everything. Mm, because that's also very important. Like, do I want to draw thick fabric or thin, sheer, or not sheer? And yeah, I also drew the sun over there, like left on top of my layer, because it is important to know where is the sunlight coming from. And it's mostly coming from the top left, but obviously it's on your own whether you want to be the sun. Um, yeah, I think that's a good starter, but this is not so important because obviously I can't show how I color fabric in here. So that's why I did this one. I am now gonna color the t-shirt and maybe the pants, but I think it's not that important. And I drew this one to show because it has more clothes that are falling. And this part, wait, I'm gonna make it red. Oh, now let me draw on top of it. This part is important because, not a good red, it's all about form, and you don't wanna, more like you have to create depth in art. And what I used to do when I started drawing, let's imagine this is, her neck, her shoulders, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't look good, but it doesn't matter. And I used to do this. Like, I didn't give my characters or their clothes any depth. Like, that's even too good. I just used to do straight lines, but that's important because you shouldn't do that. You should always be like, oh yeah, that's a character. They have like flesh and bones and everything. And in real life, we have to think of them like a form. Just imagine them being 3D things, You have to, wait, let me pick another color, maybe blue, this kind of way. Because everything has depth. These, for example, like here. Oh, and also imagine how is the character standing. Mine is kind of like this. Her head is looking down, but her breast is kind of, looking forward. and she, since she's like this, I had to put the clothes kind of up and this part kind of down. Um, yeah, and here I wasn't kind of sure, should I put this up or down, but down didn't look good, so this is slightly looking kind of this, you know. So, okay, blue is definitely not the best color for it. And yeah, but that's more like anatomy stuff. But it's important to imagine that clothes shouldn't be in 2D, even though they are 2D, but just give them more depth and everything will look definitely a little bit better. And also, what I also used to do was, this is her arm, you know, and when I drew them any clothes, I just did like this. So kind of directly attached to their body, but that's not it because it looks stiff and not good. So that's what why I came up with, while watching, other art and real life references, to give them more depth by doing this kind of thing. So I just let this um bump up, if you know what I mean. Like clothes, this is kind of thick. I mean, sheer clothes or thin clothes obviously can be attached to their bodies, would be definitely more more close to her skin, but I wanted to make it look more fabric-ish, so I kind of let this stay up. Mm, yeah, so that's also kind of important, but it's a good start. Okay, now let's get started how I color my stuff. Like, let's not do the skin because that's another tutorial. Yeah, so this is, wait, let me make this. This is my t-shirt. It's white, okay? I hope you can see this. And I do another layer on top of it, and I clip that layer with the clipping group tool. And I also use, maybe you already know this, but I use Clip Studio Paint. So I clip this layer, and I use Clip Studio Paint X. That's what I was talking about. But this should work on any drawing app, program, whatever. And then I pick because this is white, more grayish color, but it shouldn't be totally gray because that's, in my opinion, kind of boring. So that's why I'm always picking so a bluish, a blue gray. And I always test them. Okay, this is good, but kind of dark. Better. Let me see what this blue looks like. Nah. So, I like this. You always have to like test, play around, just find your own color, what you think would look good on them. So let's do this again. Now I pick my brush, but the soft one, and I always use a very, very big one, big size. Let's go with 1000, should be enough. This also obviously depends on your canvas size, because if your canvas size is kind of small, you don't need that. Like probably 600 would be enough, but my canvas size is kind of big, so I need 1000. And I will go over my layer, like I always start from the bottom, like this. And obviously the sun is coming from the top. Wait, let me draw this. I'll put it in, let's say beep 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 sun. Because that's the best way. Um, okay. Now you make a second layer. You also clip that, and after that, I also pick another layer, another color, not the same. Mostly, often not the same color. I'm kind of flexible with that. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, no. Okay, I think I like this one. Okay, now I use this water brush. I think it was Draw and Fix or something. It's this one, this right here. But I don't know if you have this one. It should be in the standard stuff, you know, like I didn't download this. But what I like about it is, let's pick 17. The harder I press, the less smooth out the color is. Like, you can see this. I'm kind of pressing, kind of hard. And if I, wait, let's do this here. You know, press, kind of hard. Let's make it a little bit, oh, I took 10, it doesn't matter. Let's take 15, and now I'm not pressing hard, but I'm going slightly over it, and you can see it kind of smooths the edges out like this and create this beautiful brushy effect. I do this also here, like gentle. You see, that's why it's called a water brush. So it smooths out the edges. And what I like about it, maybe I can show it here, is if I press hard enough and smooth out the edges, like in here, you can see that. Let's make another layer. You can see here, more like here, this part, no, that's too big, is really smoothed out here, but this is still kind of sharp, and I really do like this effect because, why can I pick it here? Because you can see this brush, because here is, this part is sharp, you know, just like folds mostly look like, and this one is brushed out. Okay, now let's continue this. Let's copy the color again, like this, and do more hard edges, because obviously the edges are important, because you know the sun comes from above. So let's say her hair in here is kind of blocking the sun, her head also in here. That's why, again, you should definitely always look up for references, and kinda, it's a learning by doing thing, because you don't automatically know where the sun is, how the sun works, like on clothes. And yeah, now let's say you also don't always have to do like hard or sharp wrinkles. They're definitely, you also have to do like soft and sheer folds like this one. And I'm still using the same brush, but I'm just not pressing that hard on top of it. And here, because you know, her breast is also kind of blocking the sun and creates shadows. Now for the breast, I like to use an airbrush, but this time let's say 200 and go over it, because breasts don't create a hard shadow, so, or a sharp shadow, you know, like. And now let's use the water brush again and go like under her breast and kind of define this part, because obviously there is no sun underneath. Also here. Like I said, I'm not always, I know that sometimes it doesn't make 100% any sense, because it sometimes doesn't look right. But as I said, it's a learning by doing, and sometimes I'm doing better, sometimes not. But I think we're doing pretty great right now. Just color in, you know, the fold, the wrinkles. And I also do this thing with my line art. Like you can see here, I did some lines over there, but sometimes I erase them because I don't really need them, because I draw my wrinkles like this with my water brush pen, and I don't really need my lines for that. And I don't know if I really like this. No, this doesn't really make sense. Let's erase that. See, now I have to erase my line art here because it's kind of confusing. Bye. Pop, pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Okay, now let's try again. Okay, this is fabric, and fabric falls kind of like this. It's not a thick fabric, it's a shirt. Okay, you know, like gravity. Gravity's a thing. Let's get down something like this. Nah, it still doesn't look 100% right. I know it, but I think the key part, like, you know, her breast, also like, don't press too hard, very gentle. I don't really like the part right here. I don't know what it is, but this part is good. Let's continue over here. I don't know what went wrong. Okay, now I'm using my airbrush, but the hard one, and that is 17. Let's use 20 and define the edges, or try to recolor, kind of recolor my lines. I like to give them more depth, as always, because that's the key of doing line art. And kind of like this. See, it looks kind of better. Ooh. Okay, I like to color in the outer part, because it gives them, oh, I think my favorite word in this tutorial is depth, but yeah, it that's what it does actually. So this is also dark because, you know, arms, there is no light really. Let's use our airbrush, water brush again. Okay, okay, seems good, seems good. And again. Like this. Okay, now what I also do after this step, let's imagine this is the darkest shade, okay? This is like the dark, dark spot. Now, this is my airbrush spot layer I did in the beginning. This is my shadow layer, shading layer. Now, in between of those two layers, I make another one. It will automatically clip the layer, but I don't know if that is the same for other programs. So just in case, clip this. And now I'm gonna use the same color I had, go over it like this, you know, to see, oh yeah, it's the same color, blah, 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 and set down the, that's not the opacity, that's it. Like, let's do 50. Now I use my eraser, but the soft eraser. Let's pick 60 and erase this part. Okay, okay, looks good. And color in like this. Oh. And like this. And here. Also here. This is kind of like the second shadow layer part thing I do. And now let's do it again. It also depends on my artwork. Sometimes it's not always 50, you know, sometimes it's like 30, sometimes it's even 60, whatever. It really depends on my artwork. But let's go with, I guess 50 was kind of good. And yeah, I also use my water brush. Press gently to create this very soft effect. Kind of like this. This one's good. As I said, I really do not like the bottom part. It doesn't quite well. I mean, it's not that bad, but it's also not that good. I think the breasts are kind of okay. I know it's wrong. What? See, that's why you should always look real life or concentrate on real life art, not art, things. I did this wrong because clothes tend to fall. Let's pick this like this. Wait. I think this makes a lot of more sense. Let's delete this one or erase this one. This. And now it should. Oh, well, how do I fix that now? Let me pick the color first and brush this out. Okay, okay, good so far. Okay, now we brushed this out, and now let's take the airbrush, the hard one, and do something like this. Draw the folds, because you know t-shirts don't start here, like they don't how do I say that, they don't stick around the breast, like they fall. And that was my mistake. No, wait. See, it's never too late to learn something. Let's say this is a breast and the fabric does not do this, like it doesn't hang or stick on her breast, but it falls. It does make this curve and fall. Beep, 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 beep. So, you know what I mean? Like that's why I drew these wrinkles, folds in here. Okay. I think this is a pretty good starter now. Yeah, the part, this part is still not that good, but let's cut this off and concentrate on this part, because I think I did pretty good in here. And as I said, it's always important to look up for references, because that's the key for everything. And yeah, I also do mistakes, obviously. And I also redo my art sometimes, like I did the base color, the line art, the sketch, everything, but sometimes I'm like, okay, the color doesn't look good, the shading, the rendering doesn't look good, and I redo that, just like I did now. But yeah, that's the basic key. I have my airbrush part, like this part. I do this kind of gradient thing. Then I go with my hard dark shadow, and after that I use the same color, and this is my second shadow layer part. Yeah, and what I sometimes do, it not always, I do another layer, I clip the layer, I go to this tool, this layer settings, and pick overlay, and let's use blue. It doesn't really matter what color you use, because it always depends on your artwork. And I do these little highlights like this. It's kind of a reflection. And I think it also looks always good, you know. Now it looks kind of wet because of the blue. Like, you know, imagine here's a pool. Wait. Let's say here's a pool, and the pool is reflecting its water because of the sun. Wait, because of the sun. And the pool is like, oh, yeah, reflection, you know, and that's why we have this. And I think it looks good. I mean, obviously, it doesn't have to be a pool or water or something, but it also can be air, because bounce light. Like, let's say we have a street, like, you know, gray street, or even grass, and things, objects, and everything. If the sun, yellow, please. If the sun falls down on this, they will always reflect their color. Okay, in this case, it's green, and the color will definitely affect the clothes. So let's say this is green then. How I noticed that is not only because of other art and everything. I once wore a yellow hoodie, if I'm not wrong, and I saw that my neck was completely, because of this direct sunlight, was completely yellow, you know. And you definitely have to try that on yourself because it's interesting and you can see like, oh damn, um, sun. So it's something that definitely um, is still in my mind because I couldn't forget that. It was so interesting. Like once you notice that, you can't unsee it. So yeah, you definitely have to look, kinda search for those things. And yeah, so that's pretty much it on this part. Now I have another thing because that's because of references. I talked about it before, so I did this pretty fast. The left one, wait, this one, I did it. It was what I had. Sorry, what I had in mind. I was like, oh yeah, that's how a hoodie looks like. Like I knew that a hoodie. Wait, I knew that a hoodie had like two parts, two main parts. Um, so this is, that's what around is around her neck, and this is the big part, the hoodie, because obviously it create folds, big folds. But I was like, this kind of doesn't look right. I mean, the essence is right. Like I know that it creates folds, but it still doesn't look right. I took a reference, and the key, the spirit is there, but you can see that the red part here. Wait. Okay. Um. Wait. This part and this part. Mine without a reference was way too big. It doesn't make sense. The blue part, I did this kind of right. Like I didn't mess this up that much. But the red part is where it is. Like the spirit was there, but yeah, I kind of messed this up. It's way too big, and the folds are not really that good. But you know, that's what I had in mind. I thought it would look like. Obviously, take a reference, and my reference was this one, and I was right with the two parts. This one, and okay, blue is not the best color, and this one. There is a two-piece kinda. Um, this is also obviously red. It belongs to this part. But that's why it's so important to look up for references. Like we mostly know how to do it, but it's better with references and even better with real life references. I'm not saying that the art of others are kind of bad because obviously I also used Muley's reference, but just to be sure, it's always better to use real life references like from models or on Instagram. Pinterest. There are a lot of models who are wearing a lot of stuff. Like you cannot can't wait. How do I say that? Wait a moment. There's nothing you can't find on the internet. Okay, and if you can't find anything, wear a hoodie and ask someone to make a photo shoot with you. Yeah, so that's basically it. I hope this kind of helped. Because maybe I can say something on choosing colors, but that's to you. I said like I don't like to use gray like the legitimate gray because it looks really boring. Wait. Oh, who cares? So this is the gray, and I think it's depending on your device, it might look warm or cold, but I don't really like it. I really like this bluish gray, but that's on taste, and that's something you have to decide because you have to create your own style, and yeah, just have fun experimenting a lot, because not only is there anatomy and folds and everything, but you have to like draw as often as possible to learn, like not only your head but also your hand have to learn how to do that. You have to kind of memorize. Oh yeah, that's how a shirt looks like. Oh, that's how a hoodie looks like. And it also depends obviously on your character, model, whatever. But basically, I think we kind of did the basically we kind of did the basics. How we covered up the basics. Um, yeah, the sun is from the top and everything. You know, her head covers also up some space. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let me close this one. Here you can also see like I used it. Let me use this color. Here's my darkest spot. I started with this one. Same goes for this one. You know, dark, dark, dark. Also dark. And this one is my second layer. I did, you know, the lighter part where I go down with the opacity. And now you know how I shade wrinkles and folds. Bye!